Welcome to our panel of discussion on the COVID-19 situation in Nigeria. On This is Nigeria. We'll bring you the concluding part of our last edition on COVID-19 situation in Nigeria. The last edition we discussed about the impact of the lockdown on Nigerians psychologically, socially, and economically. But today we're looking at post-COVID-19. What is our new normal going to look like? And I have with me in the studio the same set of gentlemen, Kunle Adewale, a veteran broadcaster and a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And seated next to him is Ernest Osogwe, a veteran broadcaster and a social commentator. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Maya.
So Ernest, let me ask you.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of economic, social, and psychological consequences of this lockdown on Nigerians, on marriages, on youths, especially youths that are in drug addiction. What's your take on this?
Well, there is no doubt about it that when a new social situation comes up, then people have to develop new ways of adapting. Looking at the economic impact on Nigeria, for instance, I'm worried. The information we are getting is that oil prices have been affected in the international market. Nigeria's oil is floating on the high seas now. I don't mean on the top of the sea, in vessels with nobody welcoming them into the shores to buy. And that means that civil servants don't know this, but their salaries depend on that. And so, for me, I've discussed with a few friends, are we sure in the next 4 or 5 months, our government, the federal government, will be able to pay salaries? The allocations that state governments come to Abuja with cap in hand or with bowls to collect, are they going to get that with the oil price we're hearing in the international market? So that's one implication that our leaders needs to begin to think about. Say, how do we mitigate that? Oil is our mainstay, about 90% of our foreign exchange earnings. They've been talking about diversifying the economy over the years. I don't know how much impact that has had. Now, away from government, you're not looking at individuals. At home, I know, I'm married. I used to complain about the space I have in my house, but I discovered that during this COVID time, it became a blessing. Having different spaces for everybody to occupy without running into each other so much on a daily basis helps. And it really helped me to an extent. So I'm imagining my friends, my relatives who were occupying smaller places and all of that. And I wonder how children will be crossing on a daily basis, 24 hours, the next day, the same thing. And I know that that will definitely take a toll on the family members. And then you're going to see more quarrels, more disagreements and things like that. So we pray that families will have a way to deal with that. Then going on the streets, post-COVID, I don't think that by December 31st, we're going to stop the regimen of washing our hands regularly, using sanitizers, or maybe covering our nostrils and things like that. I think those habits may have to stay with us for a little bit longer, maybe to the end of this year, or maybe for a few more months. I think so. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think, you know, when HIV/AIDS came so many years ago, we waited and expected our scientists are going to jump out one day with a vaccine, vaccinate everyone, we don't run away from it. But what has happened? HIV/AIDS has been managed, no definitive cure. So I don't know about this one. Who knows? We are praying that they can get a cure. But in case there is no cure, it means that it's going to be existing side by side with us. And then we're going to find ways of managing it. And so if that happens, that means, like I said, the sanitary experiences we're having now, we may begin to ramp them up and make it more a part of our lives as we go forward. For individuals, businesses and all of that, I'm telling you, so many dynamics are going to change. There are some people who realize now that I'm better off at home, not working. Maybe that work I was doing earning 50,000. Now I'm at home, I'm making more money than that. Then, of course, you talk about the criminals who've taken advantage of this to siphon monies, to scam people, telephone calls, government palliatives are coming, send me your account details and stuff like that. So there's an increase in cyber crime. And so people have to be wary of exposure in the internet or in the social media, so to speak. So these are some of the things that are going to stay with us for some time post-COVID. Hopefully, we're hoping this thing will end sooner than later. But some habits that we've cornered during this season may just stay with us a little bit longer for us to keep ourselves safe, like the hygienic regimen that we are going through on a regular basis.
What is your take on this new normal? What is post-COVID-19 going to look like for Nigerians?
Let me start by saying that international travel was very different before 9/11. Post 9/11, a lot of changes came. You now began to have protocols at airports across the world where you had to remove your shoes, remove your belt, pass every bit of luggage through scanners, sniffer dogs, and a whole lot of stuff. It's the same thing that's going to happen post-COVID-19. The way we change, the way we live, the way we do business, the way we relate to one another as humans, the way we travel, tourism, everything is going to be affected. Everything will be affected. Hotels will have to develop protocols to ensure that people who have COVID-19 do not bring it into their facilities. A lot of stuff has to be done. And because it's an unfolding situation, you cannot even say now that this and this and this is what we must do. The first level is what Ernest talked about a few minutes ago, the hand washing regimen. We have to continue this sanitary practice, which incidentally first came to Nigeria during the time Ebola came in 2014. It became wash your hands, use sanitizer, don't touch your face. It's the same protocol. So that's number one. That one will be with us for a very long time to come. The other part of it is that the way we do things will change. For instance, a lot of companies now are thinking about how more and more of their employees can work off-site, working remotely, empowering their staff to work from home. It's been happening in the developed world before when a lot more people worked from home, but now it's come to Nigeria. We have to find a way around these things in order to reduce exposure of people to things like COVID-19. And like I said, it's an unfolding situation. You cannot really tell. Only on Friday, I was reading, a couple of days ago, I was reading a news report that said that some tests were run on the semen of people who had been cured of COVID-19 in China. And they tested, out of every 10 people they tested, they found traces of COVID-19 in their semen.
Still active.
Yes. So what it also means is that as research continues, a lot more will unfold. We have to change the way we live. Whether it's in terms of relationship between humans, whether it's in terms of your work ethics, whether it's in terms of how you deliver service, everything has to change. I'm sure that even you, Maya, will be frightened now of climbing into an aircraft because it's a pressurized cabin. One person sneezes, what happens? One person coughs on an aircraft, what happens? So the people in the aviation industry, I'm sure they're already thinking along that line. How do we, because the losses are massive right now in the aviation industry. The losses are incredible.
It's beyond imagination.
It's beyond I'm sure that 3 months ago, nobody thought this could happen. But post-COVID-19, we have to find a way around these things. But now, you don't travel just for the fun of it. Oh, I'm going on holiday. I want to go to Kenya. I want to go to Dubai. Yes, it's good to travel, but at what cost? You must think about it now carefully before you step out. The positive side for me is that governments across the continent of Africa, and let me use Nigeria as an example, will now be forced to develop critical infrastructure that they didn't have before. Hospitals, sanitation. Imagine a city like Abuja. Have you ever seen a public convenience anywhere? No. Go to walk into any hospital. I think it's even better in Abuja. The private sector has come in to shore up the effort in the healthcare delivery system in Nigeria to cover up for the inadequacies of the public sector. But even that is not enough. Okay. So a lot more has to be done.
We'll go on a short break. This is Nigeria. We'll continue. Stay with us.
No nation depends on one source of revenue if it wants to create a sustainable economic development and a future for its citizens. Countries have all grown and sustained their respective economies through non-oil exports, and Nigeria Export Promotion Council (NEPC) is strategically positioned to do more on 22 priority export products under the Zero Oil Plan, the One State, One Product initiative, and the Nigeria Diaspora Export Program, which are needed pillars of success in our economic recovery and growth plan. Invest in non-oil export business such as sorghum, cassava, yam, shea nut, ginger, and reap bountifully. Export business guarantees a prosperous future through inclusive wealth and job creation. Join hands to make Nigeria one of the top 20 largest economies in the world. Export business, tomorrow's business. For further inquiries, visit .nepc.gov.ng.
Welcome back. This is Nigeria, and we're unlocking post-COVID-19 in Nigeria. What is our new normal going to look like? That's what we've been discussing before we went away. So talking about the consequences of the lockdown, what exactly do you see in the future?
Well, to be honest, I don't think the post-COVID-19 future is looking very bright, to be quite honest. We need to be very honest with ourselves. Unfortunately, however, we have an ignorant majority in Nigeria, and because of this, it becomes very difficult. Mapping out data, government policies, and all of that, they don't get down because the people will just say, it's a lie, it's a scam, don't mind them. But with those who are knowledgeable should be able to know, sit down, and plot what is going to happen. We are lucky. Our employees are on a monthly basis. For instance, if you go to Europe and America for now, everybody has lost their jobs. You didn't work for 1 week. By the second week, you didn't go to work. It means you are unemployed. So if you check the statistics going on when you listen to CNN, 30 million people, 40 million people are applying for unemployment allowances. They are already jobless. So for Nigeria, it's going to be really challenging. For government workers, which is what has been going on, we've discussed it on other forums before, that salaries are just being paid even when people are not working. So I know that government will be ready to pay salaries as we go ahead. Labor is already threatening, which is what I see in Nigeria, that people don't balance what is going on with reality. If you relieve people of their jobs, we are going to go on strike, this and that is going to happen. But for the private sector, it is very clear. Just before I got into the studio here, a friend of mine runs a hotel in Lagos, and we were discussing. Okay, yeah, today, yes. And he said, look, and as far as I'm concerned right now, everyone is laid off. It's until after COVID-19, we know the kind of services we need to bring up gradually, because right now I'm not making any money. They don't expect me to pay them from the money I have in my pocket. So everyone who are working with him in that hotel, that hospitality business, are jobless right now. And it's going to be like that across board. There are so many people who are not making any money now. And you don't expect them to pay from what they have in their pockets. It is the business that yields the money from where you get paid. So there's going to be a lot of joblessness. I'm seeing that. But on the conversely, however, like we've said, some people are going to discover their potentials as well within this season and discover that, look, I'm a good person to work from home. I'm a good writer. I write scripts. I write things. I do journals. So rather than going to the office to be earning 50,000 naira, I can write a script and earn more money from that. So any which way it goes, those things are going to happen. So these are some of the things that are going to be happening going forward. And it's challenging for me. We already have a jobless problem on our hands in Nigeria. Yes. And then going to be compounded. We have a restless bunch of youths. There is drug addiction and so many challenges in our society. Kunle mentioned earlier, so many issues we did not tackle from time. And when he said that, I was sitting here asking myself, Can we sit down? I know government drops statistics all the time. I'm not criticizing anyone, but the question is this: how much movement in terms of development have we made since 1999 when democracy came into place? It's not about giving people salaries, giving jobs in organizations that are already saturated with staff. We're looking at movement in terms of development. How many kilometers of roads? How many kilometers of rail? How many airports? How many real solid infrastructures that develop a nation? How many hospitals have been built? The last time I checked, the last time the federal government embarked on building a medical facility was, unfortunately, General Sani Abacha, the National Hospital. I've checked. I can't remember any new hospital that has been built since the National Hospital was built by General Sani Abacha. And so you begin to wonder, what has been going on all these years with all the earnings we've been receiving? So, these are the challenges we're going to be seeing going forward. And hopefully, I'm hoping that subsequent governments and their activities will now be channeled towards taking care of the challenges we have, rather than politicians taking contracts and wanting to earn jumbo salaries that at the end of the day have no impact when we have challenges like COVID-19.
And let me come to you. Only, what is your take on this post-COVID-19 consequences and the effects of the lockdown? It took quite a toll on Nigerians.
I said earlier that it's an unfolding situation, and a lot of things are going to come into play on a daily basis. What that requires is that we must all be ready to think out of the box and seek new solutions to the unfolding situations as we speak. In the private sector, in the government, everybody must think out of the box to find fresh solutions to all of these issues. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people have already lost their jobs as we speak, and a lot more will still lose their jobs. But on the bright side, a lot of soft skills are coming up. I watched a feature on a local TV station in Nigeria some days ago, where they were talking about, they did a feature on these soft skills. There was a young lady who said, before COVID-19 came, I really wasn't into this business. What she does now is that she caters to people who don't have the time to cook at home. So they call her, give her orders. She produces the food, cooks the food, packages it, and takes it to them, delivers to them, so they don't have to cook while they focus on other things. She's carved a small-scale business for herself out of that.
During this lockdown?
During this lockdown, yes.
Was she able to do delivery?
She was able to deliver because people who deal in food and perishables were able to move. They were given the exemption to move. And that's what it means to think outside the box. We must think outside the box in terms of governance in the corporate world, talking about the private sector. Even in the academia, my children are being taught online now on WhatsApp. That's how they receive their lessons now, because they can't go back to school. So we have to. Well, for
do you have access to internet?
That is why I said we must think outside the box. How do we change the way these people do things so that we do not promote community infection and life can still go on, we can still create value? Those are the things that we must begin to sit down to think about. And there is no one-size-fits-all solution to this. You have to evaluate each challenge in order you evaluate it carefully on its own merit and come up with a solution that will fit it. And then find a way to make that blend with other solutions to other challenges. It's quite tasking, but the human mind is amazing. It can be done.
Okay. We'll go on a short break.
No nation depends on one source of revenue if it wants to create a sustainable economic development and a future for its citizens. Countries have all grown and sustained their respective economies through non-oil exports, and Nigeria Export Promotion Council, NEPC, is strategically positioned to do more on 22 priority export products under the Zero Oil Plan. The One State, One Product initiative and the Nigeria Diaspora Export Program, which are needed pillars of success in our economic recovery and growth plan. Invest in non-oil export business such as sorghum, cassava, yam, shea nut, ginger, and reap bountifully. Export business guarantees a prosperous future through inclusive wealth and job creation. Join hands to make Nigeria one of the top 20 largest economies in the world. Export business, tomorrow's business. For further inquiries, visit nepc.gov.ng.
Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is Nigeria, unlocking her potentials. But today we have been unlocking the post-COVID-19 situation in Nigeria. What is the new normal for us? What are the likely consequences of COVID-19 in Nigeria? And right now, we want to talk about the way forward. NS Osoge, what is the way forward?
Well, for me, I believe that post-COVID, there's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be a post-COVID. I think what we're going to have is living side by side with it. I'm just taking your word for it, a new normal, new way of life, being conscious of COVID being there and just living side by side with it. How do I not get infected? A new health regimen, sanitary regimen, so to speak, and all of that. And then, of course, people adapting new ways of working. And for now, you were talking about family relationships. I think so many people have realized that I shouldn't have married this man. I shouldn't have married this woman. This close proximity between families has really exposed the deficiencies in marriage itself, bringing people to the understanding that you did not marry an angel in the first place. So I think that's the mentality we need to have. Your wife is not an angel. You are not an angel yourself. So we must learn to begin to bear with each other's deficiencies. We are Christians and Muslims. And so we need to understand that. And if you read those books, you see it there, where tolerance, forbearing with each other is very important. So I hope, I know a lot of women have complained of attacks from husbands out of frustration. And there's a lot of even young people across the streets. But from what Kunle mentioned some minutes ago about residual COVID-19 being in the semen of those who had survived it, that's a big challenge. So we hope that scientists could isolate this quickly and let us know. So if people are going out there rollicking, frolicking and all of that, and the chances of contacting this via sexual intercourse is there, people have to be extra careful. So for me, there's going to be a new normal, like you put it. And so we're going to have to adapt to a new way of living going forward.
Kule, give us your own version of the way forward.
The kleptocracy and the profligacy of the past has come back to haunt us. This COVID-19 era, I see a fantastic opportunity in front of Nigeria's governments at all levels to change the way we do things. For instance, post-World War II Europe, in spite of the 55 million lives that were lost in that war, we all know what Europe looks like now. And for those who care to do some research, look at what Europe looked like before the World War II. So out of every crisis, there's always an opportunity to create new things, to improve on the things you were doing before and make life better. Because a lot of the emerging situations will make us think better, think out of the box, and find new disruptive solutions that will make the way we live and the way we do stuff a lot better. So it's time for our governments to begin to rejig a lot of things in terms of creating critical infrastructure. For instance, we build roads in Nigeria, and sometimes they don't last more than a year. We have to rebuild again. So we're just doing things, we're going around in circles. We're not really making any movement. And that's the definition of madness. Doing things the same way and expecting different results. It can't happen. We must change how we do things. We must create things knowing that this is our own country. We don't have any other country. COVID-19 has taught us one thing, that the most important social factor for you is your family. And your family is an extension. That's the lowest basic That's a basic component of society, of your nation. So we must change the way we do things. We must scale down government because we spend too much money on recurrent expenditure. We have a bloated civil service. We have a bloated National Assembly, the executive. You have governors who have special advisors, who have special assistants, who have senior special assistants, who have SAs. The list goes on and on. One governor a couple of years ago appointed 1,000 special assistants, and that was political settlement. Our economy cannot support that. We must change the way we do things as a nation. We must look at what we have, all of those potentials that we didn't look at before, that we allowed people to just go and dip their fingers into. Was it a week ago that some people were arrested in Osun State because they were illegally mining gold around Ile-Ife and Ilesha? Those are things that government should actually harness. But in harnessing all of that, we have to do a lot of constitutional redesigning, re-engineering. Because, for instance, the federal government has a stranglehold on electricity generation, distribution, and all of that. It has to break down. We must make our local governments work. The governors have truncated the local government structure completely. They appoint who they like as caretakers. How many states have held local government elections in the past 10 years? You can count on the fingers of one hand. These are things, a lot of things need to change. But really, COVID-19 has given us a very fantastic opportunity to sit down and go back to the drawing board and change the way we do things in Nigeria so that the ordinary man can also benefit and truly, truly know that he's a Nigerian.
Wow. Ernest Osogwe, thank you very much for coming on to the program.
Yeah, Mayawa, thanks for having me.
Kule Adewale, thank you very much for coming on to the program.
My pleasure.
Well, it's a wrap on This is Nigeria. We've been talking post-COVID-19. What is our new normal and how do we face the consequences of COVID-19 in Nigeria? My name is Mayawa Oluwabi. God bless Nigeria.